everybody? This is Tank and Trucker, and this is going to be the first video in our series of how to become a better World of Tanks player and learn how to play World of Tanks. So, scooch back here and get comfy. So basically, you just installed World of Tanks, and the next step is you go through and you set up your settings for your key bindings and your sound and your graphic settings and all that good stuff. Get all your eye candy turned on and whatnot. And next thing you got to do is figure out what tank do I want to start down, or what line do I want to start down to get a tier 10 in my garage. Okay, now the biggest thing I can really say is you want to pick a tank that fits your play style. If you like to scout, if you like to play artillery, if you like your heavies and brawlers, if you like your mediums, if you like to set back and snipe with your tank destroyers, you got to stop and think, what kind of tanks, what kind of play style do you have? So basically, first off, you're going to want to go to the tech tree, and obviously everybody starts out with a tier 1. So first off, you got to figure out which country do you want to start. You want to go with US, German, blah 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 blah. Now, don't make the same mistake I did, because I would have had tier 10 a lot quicker if I didn't jump around. Literally, I think I started with American line. I got up to tier 3 or 4, and then I went down to Germans, got a couple, 2, 3 or 4, maybe a tier 5. Jumped down to the Russians, got down to tier 3 or 4 or 5. And doing that, by the time I got 3 or 4 tier 4 and 5s from different branches, I could have had a tier 10. So you don't want to jump around. I know it's very tempting when you're in a battle and you see this other tank and he knocks you out and you're like, wow, that thing was just a badass tank, and that's a tier 6. I'm on a tier 8. Oh well, I got to start over and work my way up, and then you waste all that experience and time, and you could have had that tier 10 that you were working on getting. So the biggest advice is, number 1, pick a tank that fits your play style. Number 2 is, don't jump around, wasting your experience on other tanks. So, just to give you kind of a heads up, if you're new to Worlds of Tanks, or if you've got, let's say, a couple thousand battles and you don't really understand yet, people that have been playing it for a long time will know this, but so, like your American tanks, they are known for their turret armor and their gun depression. Your German tech tree, your German tanks are known for their precise, their accuracy, their good accurate guns, and pretty decent armor. Your Russian tanks are known for its turret armor and not very accurate guns, but they're known for there being good brawling tanks. And I'm actually talking about more of the tier 10 tanks, not down in the tier 1, because I'm looking at the overall, at the end of this, what tank you're going to have in your garage. It's a tier 10 that you're going to be playing. And then you get to the UK. They're kind of a mix. Some of them that are your tier 10s have good armor, good guns, or bad armor, good guns. It really depends. Like, your 183 can one-shot tanks. 215B, that's got, pretty good armor, really good gun. Your Centurion Action X, not the best armor, but a real good accurate gun. So that one's kind of a, mix of a little this and a little of that. Your French, they're known for no armor, but your auto loaders. Every one of these that are tier 10s, except for the Amex 30, are auto loaders. So your 5-1, your TD, your heavy tank, your medium tank, and your artillery, those are all auto loaders, but no armor. Czechoslovakian is it's a mix of like French. You get auto loaders in your tier 9 and 10 with mediocre armor and decent gun depression. They're alright. When you get to Japan, their tech tree is a little bit of a mix. You can get a tier 10 medium, your STB-1, that's got an accurate, pretty fast firing gun, and it's got really good turret armor. Or you could go with the Super Heavy, the Type 5 Heavy, that has kind of a piss poor gun. Thick armor, but it's a lot of flat surfaces, so a lot of people just sling heat at you and pen you anyways. In China, they're known for their turret armor, and their speed and pretty good guns. And the new line, the Sweden line, is kind of a mix because you got your heavy tanks that are auto loaders, and that's your tier 8, 9, and 10 are all auto loaders. And then with the tank destroyers, excuse me, when you hit tier 8, you get to be able to go into this, what they call siege mode, and it's like a special mode instead of being like a standard tank destroyer where your gun has, well, on the tier 8, your gun can go up and down, but it doesn't have any movement to the left or right. It's pretty solid, but, well, pretty solid because it's mounted to the tank. Now your 9 and 10, in order to move the gun up and down, it moves with the hull of the vehicle. It doesn't have turrets, obviously, because they're tank destroyers. Not all of them have turrets. Some of them do, some of them don't, but these two don't. But your gun is mounted directly into the superstructure of the tank destroyer. So in order to get movement out of the gun, up, down, left, or right, you have to go into siege mode. And I'll show you one, a replay later on. Well, actually, I've done a couple replays. One of the UDES-03, and I've got the Tier 9, the STRV-1030, and you can watch those and you can kind of see what I'm talking about the siege mode. So, once you kind of figure out, what, kind of line you want to go down, you got to figure out, do you want to go with a heavy tank? Do you want to go with a scout? Do you want to go with a tank destroyer, artillery, a medium? What kind of play style do you have? Like, personally, myself, I like super heavies and tank destroyers. So, when I was new to World of Tanks, I thought, I saw some videos, and, I was really looking at getting my Moss or E100. I ended up joining a clan, and they really wanted me to get my E100 first, so I did, and then I got my Moss. I like my super heavies. I like to be raiding, and I'm the type of person like to be in their face, brawling. I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not the best at light tanks and scouting. I'm better off in the super heavies and heavy tanks. So you really got to, figure out what kind of play style you're gonna like. Let's just say, just for instance, you like the super heavies like I did. So what you need to do is, obviously, it can look a little confusing with all these lines and arrows and stuff. And mine are, anything I own has a check mark by them, which is all the tanks in the game. But the mistake you don't want to make is, because you start out here, you got to make sure you go down to follow the right line to get to the tank you want to end up having in your garage. You don't want to start out with a low tractor and go all the way down here, not paying attention. You research the PZ1, the PZ1C, and then you go to the Lush, and then you look, and by the time you get here, and you're going, oh man, I really screwed up. I'm stuck getting the Leopard 1. So if you have to, even just write it down, and backtrack it. Start out, let's say your E100 is one you're going to go for. So you need the E75, the Tiger 2. And then it breaks off right here. You can go with the Tiger 1 or the Panther, and it backs up here to the 3601H, 3002M, and follow it back to the VK3001H, to the DW2, down to the PZ3E and PZ2. So you'd have to go low tractor, PZ2, and then PZ3E, and then up to DW2, and so on and so forth. So if you have to, write them down, and that way you don't get off track and research the wrong tank. Also, once you get them written down, a good idea is to go through, and before you even start buying the tanks, do some research on the internet and look for replays of the tanks you're going to be getting, and reviews. Somebody might have done let's say a replay of the DW2, and I own the tank. I have never done a replay or a review on it, but I imagine somebody has. So just get on YouTube, Google it, and find out, is that thing a pile of crap? Are the first 6 tanks junk? And then you have to determine, do I still want to go for that E100, or do I want to go up a different tree with, better tanks along the line, or do I want to buy or purchase back free experience and just free experience over the tanks that are bad? Maybe the PZ2 is good and the PZ3E is good and DW2 is good. And then you get to the 3001H and that thing is just a pile of crap, and people are saying, oh my God, it's junk. It's a real crappy grind. Then take and buy your, if you can, use your free experience, buy it back, and just research over that one. Don't even play the damn thing. There's a lot of tanks that I've researched I've never even touched, never played them. There's a couple that I've played a couple times. They sucked, and I haven't touched them since. Or I just sucked in them, and I just didn't want to attempt to run them anymore. So, like the ELC, I've got 5 matches in mind. They were all losses, and I had just crappy games in all of them, all 5. But that given too was, a couple years back several years back when the ELC was added in, and I was still new to tanks, still learning how to play. So, I probably could install, or set it up now and play it, and I might do a lot better. But I'm just using that for instance. I had 5 bad games in it. They were all losses. Never touched it again. But, so you really want to pick out, get an idea ahead of what tank you want, and then do a little research, background checking on other tanks. Google on YouTube, and not Google, I'm sorry, but go on YouTube and do a search for the tanks and watch reviews of them and see how good they are. Make sure that the end product that's going to be the tier 10 in your garage is going to be an alright grind that you're not going to mind, and you're going to be happy with the end result of having that tier 10. There was my son, he did one of his tier 10s that he got. He was going up the line, and he got to where he had to pick and go to the Batchat 25 AP and then the Batchat tier 10. And for some reason, he went down here and got the AMX 30 and then the 30B, and he absolutely hates it. It has no armor. It's got a pretty good gun, but absolutely no armor. I mean, the thing's penned everywhere. And so he was pretty upset that he ended up getting that. And then he turned around and got the tier 10 after that. But, if he'd have done a little research, he wouldn't have kind of boned himself, and I guess you could say. So, yeah, you really want to do some research and make sure you're going to like what you're going to have. So, well, that's the first part of it. So, once you pick out the tank you have, basically you, actually you'll start at tier 1. So, we'll go to tier 1 real quick. I only own a couple. So, let's say you're going down, German line, so you're in the low tractor. As you can see, I don't have this set up. I got very basic. I just bought the tank because I wanted to have all the tanks, and I wanted to own them all in my garage. So I bought it, and never set it up. I don't even think it's still got all stock stuff. But I'm going to show you, just for instance, how to set this up, except for I'm not going to buy this stuff down here because I don't want to waste the credits. Sorry. But for a crew, you definitely want a 100% crew. So that makes a huge difference. All these numbers over here you see that are red is because I have a 55% crew. So if you go, you can buy a 100% crew right off the bat. But if you don't, you can click on this right here. You click retrain, and then you can click 100%. Costs you 200 gold per person, so it'd be 600 gold because there's 3 members in the tank, and it'd be 100% crew. And then you hit retrain, and then retrain at 100%. Then all these numbers here will be, actually they won't be red, plus they'll be a lot better. Your reload time will be quicker, your rate of fire will be better, everything will just be better because you got a better crew, a lot better crew. Then second off, once your crew's set up, you want to make sure, you had researched all the top stuff. So I'll research the gun. It's cheap. So basically, you can look at it by left-clicking, tells you about it, so you can kind of compare the guns. You can hover over it, too, and it'll tell you about the different things about the gun. But you right-click on it and say purchase and mount. Well, I've already got it researched from owning it previously, but you would hit research, and then it'll research the gun. Then it turns it brown like that versus green. meaning if it's green, you have to research it yet. So then you'd right click on it, you research it, then you can purchase and mount it, and then you hit purchase, and then that gun is now mounted on the low tractor. So we'll click back to the garage, and you can see it's got the new nifty gun on there. Next thing you're going to have to do is with the new gun, you got to add ammunition. So you'll hit service. I always have these automatically highlighted because I don't like the thought of going into a battle after shooting all my rounds and then not having any rounds because it didn't reload it. So I always have it repair the tank automatically and resupply the ammunition automatically just by putting those check marks by it. Then you've got a slider bar here. You can slide back and forth, or you can click it up and down like this. Pick how many standard rounds you want, how many premium rounds you want. Another thing you can do is hover over the ammunition, and it will tell you exactly what the caliber is, what the damage is, and your penetration over distance. It loses penetration over distance. It's minimal, but it still does. Another thing you can do is hover over this, and it will, you can look at your screen. I don't know if I can hold it there. Yeah, it's not going to let me do it while I'm, yeah. Okay, so if you look at that and you go, let's see, 12 rounds in the magazine. If you look down to 1, 2, 3, the fourth one down, average penetration, it shows you that your standard rounds do 30 millimeters average penetration. Your premium rounds do 47. So you have to determine how many rounds you want to carry of each. For a lower tier like that, I mean, I would probably carry, oh, I don't know, a handful of premium rounds, 60 or, goes up like 12 rounds every time because that's how many rounds are in a magazine. And then carry the rest premium. And then you can either pay gold or credits to pay for it. We'll say credits. Then you go down here and resupply automatically on this. And then that's for your small repair kit, first aid kit. Now, the next one is completely up to you. These are all completely up to you, obviously. This is just how I'm setting it up. But I bring a fire extinguisher in every one of my tanks. Every single one of them. You can use the manual fire extinguisher. The problem with that is sometimes you'll be set on fire, and if you're really not paying attention, by the time you catch that you're on fire, you've lost almost all your hit points before it goes out. So you might have cooked yourself or completely got destroyed. So I always go with automatic fire extinguishers. Tier 1s, now I'm not going to say it's not recommended, but I mean, tier 1, it's personal preference. All these are actually. I mean, you can put a large repair kit on it, large first aid kit, chocolate to help the crew, load faster, more accurate, drive better. You can change all these orders around how they are in here. It's all your personal preference. I'm just setting it up the way I would if I were buying this tank, setting it up for the first time. And then you hit accept down here, and okay right here. And you hear ching, your money goes away. Then if you click on here, if you've already upgraded, this one doesn't need it, but some you have to upgrade your tracks in order to carry more weight. This one you don't have to, but you can pick like vertical stabilizers or improved ventilation, toolkit, enhanced gun lane drive. And if you hover over it for a second, it'll tell you exactly what it does. So the enhanced gun lane drive, it gives your aiming speed plus 10%. But it all, it tells you the cost, which they're not cheap. Even for tier 1s, you're going to pay the same for a gun lane drive for a tier 1 that you would for a tier 10, which I think is a little goofy. For a tier 1, these ought to be a heck of a lot cheaper, to be honest with you. But you get 3 slots, so you can pick 3 of those. And it all, again, is personal preference. Some people like coated optics to give them that extra view range, binocular telescopes because they like to set, and once they sit still for like 2 seconds, whatever, those engage, and it knocks them their view range out 25%. Camouflage net to cover them up, hide them a little better. So, and it tells you each time you hover over it what it does and stuff. So, like I said, those are all personal preference. So, once you've picked the tank and you set it up, you're good to go. You just click battle, and it will take you into a battle. If you set it up and you want to give it a try to see how it runs, you can click on this random battle thing with a down arrow and go down to Proving Grounds. And what that does is it's only good for tier 1s, 2s, I think tier 3s, maybe just 1s and 2s. But you can take tier 1s and 2s into a training room, like it's almost like a training room with a bunch of bots. You'll have 14 other bots on your team, 15 enemy bots, and then you can run it, try it out, and see how it does. Unfortunately, they only have that set up to do it with tiers, I believe it's 1 and 2. Maybe 3s, I'm not 100% sure. I wish they did it with all the way up to tier 10s, and that way you could take out your new tier 10s and 9s and 8s when you buy those to give them a try, but unfortunately they didn't. So you take it to Proving Grounds, take it for a match. Oh, it does great. This will automatically go back to random battles, and then you'd click battle, and you'll take that into a battle and hopefully kick butt and take some names. So, this is our first video. Basically, it's just kind of teaching you, a little bit of what buttons do what, how to pick what tank, what line you're going to want to go down, and then if you want, tank, destroyer, heavy, artillery, kind of what area you want to end up being, and why not to jump around from tanks to tanks, researching different stuff, because it takes away from getting that tier 10 in your garage that much quicker, so basically I'm going to stick right once you pick that tank, go all the way up until that tank is in your garage. Be a lot quicker. So that video is pretty much done with that, and obviously explained how to take the tier 1s and 2s into a kind of a test room, and also you can take it in once you're all set up into a regular battle. And next video I will try and put out here in the next day or two, so keep an eye out for that. This is Tank and Trucker. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new with it. And as we go, it'll get a little bit harder, and the tanks get a little bit bigger. So keep your eye out, like I said, for the new videos. And if you like the video, please hit the like button down below, somewhere over yonder. And please subscribe to the channel. The more people we get, the better it is. You guys take it easy, be safe, and I'll see you on the battlefield.